Today we'll be reading a piece by Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson was born in 1907 in Pennsylvania. She is a proclaimed conservationist, a marine biologist, and an author. She has written many pieces, many books in the environmental world that are very, well-renowned, looked at as almost Bible-ish in the environmental movement. She is most famously known for one of her books called Silent Springs, and we will be reading a passage from that book called The Obligation to Endure. So we're going to be reading chapter 2 of the book, The Silent Springs. Silent Springs was published in 1962. This book was very much opposed by chemical companies, but it had a huge grassroots movement behind it. So once it was published, many people read this book, and it started a grassroots movement, which actually led to the eventual development of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency at the federal level. The chemical companies opposed this book because the book extensively talked about pesticide use in the United States, and one of the big pesticides that was kind of narrowed in or zeroed in the book was DDT. DDT was initially used as a insecticide to kill the gypsy moth. It was very effective, and we wound up using it in World War II to actually fight malaria and typhus. So what would happen is they would fly over our troops and actually spray DDT over our troops. Many of our World War II veterans actually have died from cancer due to this DDT spray. The other thing is that here in the United States, we've realized that DDT was one of the major issues of the decline of the bald eagle. So when DDT would be sprayed, it would get into the waterways, and then it would bioaccumulate in fish. What would happen is the bald eagle would catch that fish and then eat the fish, and then it would bioaccumulate in the bald eagle. And one of the side effects of this is the fact that it actually softens shells. So when the bald eagle mother would lay her eggs, the eggs would have a shell on them, but the shell would be very elastic. And what would happen is that when the mother would sit on to incubate the egg, she would squish the egg because it just it didn't have the hardening characteristics that it needed. And over time, this is how we saw the bald eagle fall onto the endangered species list, with very few bald eagles left throughout the United States. Since, actually, I want to say maybe last year the bald eagle was taken off the endangered species list. It has taken all of this time for that DDT to make its way through the food chain and out of the food chain. So it's a huge, big deal. So DDT, because of the book The Silent Springs, was finally banned in 1972. So it's taken from 1972 till I think it is 2015 for the bald eagle, which is one of the species that was affected by DDT, to actually, recover from that issue. So that's one of the big, one of the major issues with insecticides is that we have to understand that the ramifications are for a long time. So it's not just an immediate, hey, we kill this bug now. We actually pay the price for numerous years into the future. Rachel Carson actually died of breast cancer at the age of 54. So while she was writing this book and fighting the chemical companies to allow this book to be published and be made mainstream publication, she was actually fighting breast cancer and did succumb to breast cancer. And so this piece you should find a pretty easy read. It is not very technical in terms of content. It's not very many pages, so this reading is about 5 pages long. So if you'll see, and it is copied from the text from the book. And I hope you enjoy this reading. Now, after you're finished this reading, you'll also have a quiz that's attached to it. So do not forget to take your quiz related to this chapter reading. If you have questions or comments, you're more than willing to email me, or we could discuss in our next class meeting.